right, here's a quick video. Question came up about negatives inside the graphing calculator, and then what happened was the student discovered that obviously first thing about negatives is that we have a negative sign, which is located down here on the bottom of your keyboard, and we also have a minus sign, a subtraction sign. So these are our operators over here, like our plus, minus, multiply, divide, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Excuse me. So this guy right here, and you can see there's a slight difference here. If I do the minus sign and then I do the negative sign, you can see that there's a slight size difference between the two, and so you'll get used to being able to visually see that. As an educator who's been doing this for a few years, I definitely can see the difference between it when a student's making this mistake. So let's go through real quickly a couple things. Like for example, if I did 6 minus 9, the answer should be -3. All right, but if I did 6 negative 9, it doesn't have an operator, so it's going to automatically assume possibly multiplication, but more importantly, it's going to give you this error. What I would recommend at this point is that you go ahead, don't hit quit, go to number 2, go to, because what the graphing calculator does is it goes to where your mistake is. So then at that point you'll be like, oh, that's right, I used a negative sign instead of a minus sign. So now you can change it, press enter, and you get the right solution. Okay, so that really wasn't the question, but that's just kind of the basic idea between the negative sign key and the minus sign, or the subtraction key. All right, so let's address this particular student's question. And that question was, if I had -3 and I wanted to take it to the second power, so I have caret, raise it to the second power. And there's a shortcut for that too, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Well, I know that a -3 squared is a -3 times a -3, and so when I press enter, I should get +9, because that's a -3 times a -3, and when I multiply that, a negative times a negative is a positive. Well, then why is the calculator telling me that it's -9? And the answer is that basically what your calculator is doing is it's using ordered operations. It's doing please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So it sees this, it sees your problem that you typed in, it sees it as -1 times 3 to the second power. So it's seeing what you typed in as a negative raised to a power as a -1 times that base raised to a power. Order of operations say parentheses. We don't have any parentheses. Exponents. I have exponents. So what the calculator wants to do is it's going to square that number first. Then it goes to multiplication. It takes that 9 and multiplies times -1, and that's how we get the -9. So the way that we get around this is that we just put anytime we're doing a negative number to a power, we put it in parentheses. So in this case here, we put the parentheses, put the -3, close the parentheses, and square it, and then we get the right solution. So what am I going back through here and just kind of reminding is that I wanted to touch base on why when I type in a -3 squared do I get a negative solution when I know the answer is supposed to be positive. So it's something within the calculator. It's not doing it wrong. It's doing ordered operations, and it's a mathematical algorithm that's in place that we need to make sure we understand. So quick review. If you need to type in a negative, for example, -5, and you want to raise it to the second power, don't type it. Make sure that you put the negative in parentheses before you square it, and so then that way you'll get the right solution. Okay, a little heads up there on taking negatives to a power.